This is JT. Welcome to Bodyweight Strength, where I teach you how to build a strong, muscular physique utilizing only your body for resistance. Now, one of the areas that I most commonly see neglected when it comes to calisthenics, bodyweight strength training is going to be lower body. People focus on the upper body quite a bit, neglect legs. And the thing is, you can build strong, powerful, well-developed legs and glutes utilizing only your body. And in fact, it's something that's really important to focus on. So I take my lower body training pretty seriously. What I'm gonna do today is bring you guys along with me for my lower body session. And I'm only gonna rest 60 seconds between sets. And because lower body is, something like 40% of your muscle mass, it gets pretty intense. I'm probably gonna get a little bit gassed, a little bit winded, but I'll try to provide some color commentary in between the sets, sticking with that 60 seconds of rest. I'll try to not let it affect the training session. But I'm gonna bring you guys with me. You're gonna see how I do it, and hopefully it's something educational for you, something mildly entertaining. Although remember, I'm not a stand-up comedian, so I don't know how good I'm gonna do at this, but I'll take you with me. Let's go. So the first thing I'm doing is kind of like a Bulgarian split squat, sometimes called a shrimp squat, and most often you'll see these performed on the ground. And so somebody will come down till the knee gently touches the ground and up. I'm going to use a chair so that I can come down past ground level, which is really going to help tie in the glutes and make this a lot more difficult. So we're going to make sure the chair is stable, obviously. My dogs like to dig in the ground, so sometimes my yard isn't the most stable, but here we go. Bring it as deep as I can. Okay, so the goal there is to come down as deep as possible with that hind leg, and you've got to maintain stability, and there's a definite element of balance, but it's easier to balance than, say, in a pistol squat. And I find that these will generally work the glutes a little bit better than pistols will. So I usually do some shrimp squat variation like this, and then pistol squats to follow. We're gonna go 60 seconds of rest, which is going by way too fast, and then you're gonna get back under it. So what this is essentially almost like rest pause, turning this into one big set because the abbreviated rest period. And let's get it. No, I think I got one more on that leg. Okay, so that's a wrap for those. And next what I'll do is we'll bring down into pistol squats. And I'm gonna do basically self-assisted pistols for a portion of the movement. So it's going to allow me to work past when I would have failed. And I'm gonna adjust the camera for that. So bear with me. The 60-second rest periods are going pretty quick, especially when lower body requires you to use so much of the musculature. So pretty sure I'm gonna get fairly winded, but all right, let's get it. Okay, so by resting 60 seconds, I'm pushing myself into going pretty much before I'm ready. And a longer rest may allow for additional strength, allow me to get additional time under tension. But I'm kind of pressed for time with a lot of just stuff going on in life right now. So I don't really have an hour to train. And the shortened rest periods make this double as good general physical preparedness work. So what I'm doing is some strength training, obviously, but it's definitely elevated in terms of cardiovascular fitness and body having to adapt to briefer rest periods and getting back under and doing work before I'm ready. Like now, actually. Come on, bud. So I have the pull so that if I start to lose balance or feel like I need a little bit of a self-assist, I prefer to have that available versus doing an ugly pistol. So let's go. I think I got one more. All right. So 2 sets of pistols, just a tiny little balancing spot here and there to keep form good. And next we're gonna move over and do a little focus on quads, hams, glutes, and then get the calves knocked out, and then we'll wrap it up for this session. All right, so now we're gonna do 2 sets of a body weight variation of a quad extension. So the way this is gonna work is tighten the core, tighten the quads, glutes, and then lean back, take it as deep as I can, nice and slow. All right, now 60 seconds of rest before the next one. You guys a different angle. Now with these, if you attempt these, when you first start doing them, don't worry about coming back as far as like humanly possible. You're going to have to build strength and mobility throughout the movement. So when you first start, probably won't be taking these very deep, and that's perfectly fine. You know, session after session, week after week, you work on bringing that just back a little further, and eventually, you know, I don't know how far back it's possible to go, but you'll see that depth increase. And 10 seconds more. Let's get prepped. And go. Push for one more. That's it for those quad extensions. So 60 seconds of rest. Whew. 60 seconds of rest there. And gonna get after some glutes and hamstrings and then calves, and then that's gonna be it. So down and dirty, pretty quick, minimal rest. The goal is to knock the whole session out in less than 20-30 minutes, just because I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, like I mentioned, and I simply don't have the time for longer rest periods, and then absolutely focusing on maximal effort and strength through each set with the longer rest period. If you rest longer between sets, obviously you're going to attack the next set with higher intensity and probably get a larger load of work in, but your heart rate's going to come down, and from a general physical preparedness standpoint, training session's not going to be as good, but from a strength standpoint, it's likely going to be better. But right now, like I mentioned, just with life the way it is, I'm trying to be efficient and get that cardiovascular GPP work and some strength training at the same time. So here we go. Some glutes and hams. Quads are swelling up pretty nice now. Gonna elevate one leg. Gonna start out with my elbows to the side for a little stability. When you do your squats first, you pre-fatigue the glutes, pre-fatigue the hams, and I just did quad. So by getting after your squats first, then doing this work, it makes you fatigue a little quicker. Because these muscles already have been activated and have already been putting in work. All right, 60 seconds of rest. Something to keep in mind, when you resistance train, you're stimulating the musculature to then take in amino acids, protein, and utilize the protein and amino acids to rebuild and facilitate new muscle growth, new tissue growth. So it's important that if you're looking for muscular hypertrophy, so you want to grow, you want to build lean muscle, you have to eat for that goal. If you're not taking in adequate dietary energy and protein, like, you're not going to grow. You can still build muscle, lose fat at the same time. But the biggest limiting factor I see in people that are doing calisthenics or bodyweight training, it's not that style of training can't stimulate the damage to the muscle or the stimulus to the muscle for you to grow and see real hypertrophy. It's that most people just aren't eating enough. So it wouldn't matter what you did or what you lifted, due to not enough dietary energy and or protein, you're not going to see real hypertrophy. You're still going to gain some muscle. But the biggest limiting factor for most people, sorry, I rested too long, is going to be inadequate dietary energy and inadequate dietary protein. Not necessarily that the training is not adequate. So keep that in mind, and let's go. I'm gonna push the foot away a little further to create a little more work for the core and for the hip musculature to maintain balance. Hamstrings really feeling this now. Just pushing down through the heel. All right. Pushing hard down through the heel, not the ball of the foot. Keeping the hips square. All right. You know what? I shortchanged myself. I had at least one more. My left side is actually my stronger side, and so mentally I cut that short, and as soon as I finished I knew I cut it short, so I get back under and push an extra rep or two. From here, what I'll do is the glute abduction, clamshell, whatever you want to call it. So this will be on the side. Really, really good for the glute medius, and that's an important muscle to make sure you train. A lot of people neglect it, and it can lead to a lot of problems of back pain and similar issues as you age. All right, I'm gonna roll this way, see if you can get a better view of the side of my leg. You wanna press down with the outside of the ankle, and you're gonna lift up and back at a slight angle. So it'll be up, and then as you open up and push down with the glute medius and the knee and the ankle. Then the knee will come off the ground and it'll be ankle and glute only. So it's gonna look like this, and this will be my work set. So it's the up and back. And we come down, let the outside of the iliac crest where the glute medius rests, let that just kiss the ground. Okay, other side so you can see a back view. All right, so 60 seconds of rest, and then another set of these. If you do these under slow and controlled, maintaining tension, when you come down, just kiss the ground with that outside of the hip. Don't rest it there. Just lightly touch the ground and come back up. And make sure that as you open the legs, you are pushing the body up and back. So up at an angle, maybe like 80 degrees or something like that. We're gonna finish these up, and then after these glute abductions, we're gonna hit calves, and after calves, I'm gonna call it a day. So this doesn't have to be a massive time suck. You got one more. All right. Up and back. Oh. All right, that's it. Got nothing left there. Gonna get 60 seconds of rest. Okay, so I guess it'll be 65 seconds. We're gonna take it over to calves. We're gonna do standing calves, 90-degree calves, 2 rounds through that. And then that's it. We're gonna call it a day for lower body. So like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be a huge time investment. You can adjust your rest periods to accommodate your schedule and to accommodate the blend of strength training along with general physical preparedness or cardiovascular style training. And for a lot of people, their goal isn't absolute hypertrophy, absolute strength. So for a lot of people, keeping a shorter rest period, long enough to allow you to attack the next set with proper form and not do it sloppy. But as your conditioning improves, for a lot of people, getting the best, or maybe not the best, but getting 80% of the benefit from both camps, from the general physical preparedness and cardiovascular health and strength and hypertrophy, is what a lot of people want, right? their goal may not be absolute muscle, absolute strength. And so you kind of want to look at your rest periods and how winded you feel throughout the workout without your training, and adjust it to fit your individual goals. With that said, let's get on. I rested too long. The goal here is to train calves, not face. So I'm going to have the camera focus on the calves so you can get a visual for what's actually working here. Single leg standing raises for the gastroc or the outside calf muscles. 90-degree calf raises target the soleus more. The standing calf raises you can probably do very high rep. So we go to one leg. When you go to one leg, it certainly makes it harder. The biggest issue is when you're doing calves, making sure you are pushing for maximal contraction, really squeezing the heck out of your calves. So I'll demonstrate that for you. Hold that contraction at the top. I've got one hand on this pole, which is allowing me to keep myself very stable and get that maximal contraction. I'm very slightly touching the pole, so I'm not spotting myself in so much as just ensuring that I've got good balance. And if you're high repping these, chances are you're not getting that good squeeze at the top, because if you go up, especially one leg, and you push for maximal contraction, it's actually pretty difficult to high rep these. So we'll count 1, squeeze, squeeze, really, really squeeze. And so they feel easy when you start, but after a few minutes, you'll quickly hit a wall where they're going to become much more difficult. I think I've got 2 more, maybe 3. Well, maybe 4. All right, so what you'll find is sometimes one leg has got a little bit left in it above and beyond the other leg, or same thing with arms. Sometimes you have a dominant side of the body, stronger side of the body for one reason or another. Sometimes your weaker side of the body will actually have more strength than the dominant side. So don't shortchange yourself mentally thinking, oh, I got 8 or 9 on the left, so I'm spent at 9 on the right. Sometimes you're gonna get a little more, or sometimes you won't get as much. So we got 60 seconds of rest here, halfway done, and then we're gonna get 1 more set of those. All right, second set, standing single leg calf raises. Then we're gonna hit the 90-degree. Then we're gonna wrap it up for today. So let's get after it. Again, pushing for that maximal contraction, squeezing, pushing and squeezing at the top of the movement. All right, now, right leg. It gets harder to get that full contraction as you go. So you really got to get up on those, on the ball of that foot You really got to get up on the ball of that foot on the first two toes, not the outside toes. Don't let your foot roll over. Get up on those first two toes and squeeze. Reach high to get that maximal contraction. Oops. So, I'm talking a few times, forgot to set my timer, so I'll get going on this one at 50 seconds to the 90-degree calf raises, since otherwise it's gonna put me at a longer rest period. So two more sets, and in this standing sessions, okay, so 2 more sets, and this training session's in the books. 20 more seconds. Remember, on the 90-degree raises, you're gonna hold on to something to support yourself, and let me actually see what the best angle for you guys is. All right, a little 90-degree. Hopefully you can see that. The goal with these, up onto the top 2 toes, squeeze and maximal contraction. Getting the hips up over the heels. Just getting up is only half the battle, though. You got to squeeze for maximal contraction. And you'll also feel these. You're also going to feel those up there above the knee, most likely. Like with most of the things that we do in bodyweight strength training, you're not just working one muscle. Even in something like this, which would be the closest thing to isolation that we get, you're still utilizing quads, adductors, still pulling other musculature in. It's not just the calves. Gonna rest 60 seconds here as well. Gonna hit one more set of those, and I'll probably take those a little bit past failure. So what I'll do is I'll just do a set till I can't do any more. Then I'll just drop down, rest a few seconds, and squeeze out 1 or 2 more, and wrap up the workout. And then that'll be it for this training session. Got 15 seconds, so get in position. Shake them out a little bit. And let's do it. There we go. Up on the top 2 toes of each foot only. Stay off those outside toes. Stay off the outside of the foot. And today it's actually above the knees that are limiting me, so I had to rest that for a second. Shake that out. One more go. And that's it. So, calves are starting to get spent there. But before the calves were fully spent, started really feeling it up here. So sometimes, you know, secondary muscle group is gonna get some pretty serious work when you're really focusing on something else. But it is what it is. Okay, some quick thoughts to summarize after that lower body training session. I'll go back and watch this, and I will jot down the amount of seconds or the time under tension for each set, the number of reps that I did. And then from session to session, you want to be cognizant of that amount of work you put in, so you can make sure that session to session over time, that you are increasing the time under tension, or the number of reps as a unit of measure. You want to make sure that you are adding volume or intensity over time to make sure you're progressively overloading. But with that being said, it's not going to happen week after week. Like every single week, you're not going to be adding 2 seconds to your pistol squats or reps to your pistol squats or whatever movement. You want to make sure that you are making progress over time, but it may be 2 weeks or 3 weeks before you see progress. Just like with weight loss, it's a stair step of plateau, progress, and with weight loss, obviously progress being down. And with weight gain, if you're looking for lean mass, or with strength gains, it's progress, plateau. It's never going to happen in a linear fashion. So that's why it's important to kind of log where you're at over time and not get discouraged if time passes without seeing a big strength adaptation. But those adaptations should come over time. And so that's why it's important to log. So I'll go back, I'll watch this, I'll make notes, and then next week when I come back around and do this same, I guess it's less than a week, but next training session when I do the same thing, I'll log. And it's also important, there's no like muscular confusion and mixing it up and doing all this different stuff every week, because then you can't really monitor progress and chances are you won't get very far. So I will do this same thing for a while so that I can compare notes session to session and progress session to session. Once my schedule is freed up a little more and I'm back at being able to dedicate 45 plus minutes to an hour per training session, then I will modify this. And when I do that, I will come back and reshoot this and put it out there. But for now, this will be what I'm doing. And if you guys have questions, if there's anything that you would like me to expand on or anything you'd like to see, just let's start a conversation in the comments below and I'll answer as quickly as I can. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that and it wasn't too boring, and see you on the next video.